My call to ministry actually came at a very early age when I was a young girl attending University of Nairobi and preparing for a very different profession as a land economist. At that time, I began to get engaged with the Life Ministry group that did a lot of witnessing on campus. And through this, I really felt called into that ministry and almost signed up with Life Ministry. But on the other hand, I wanted to be a land economist. So I went ahead and became a property appraiser for about 3 years. But during those 3 years of work in Nairobi, God brought to my life 5 different women who were in crisis due to domestic violence in their own situations. Of course, I was not trained. They were looking for direction. They were looking for shelter. I was able to shelter them at different times. And in the course of doing this, really felt God calling me to work with people in ministry. And that is what first led me to seeking a Master of Arts in Pastoral Counseling with the hope of working with families in crisis. To this day, I think people around me are the ones that affirmed my call to become an elder. Originally, I had trained and thought that what I had been called to was to work with families in crisis as a pastoral counselor. However, I was asked to do some filling in of pulpit, and in the process got some really good affirmations from people around me, including the DS and the bishop, and just the realization that what I was doing was making a big difference in people's lives. And that led me to really make a discerning, although I really struggled with it because we already had my husband as a pastor, and I was convinced that one was enough. And also the fact that at this point I had invested 6 years into my PhD program, hoping to go and teach in pastoral counseling. But the more I did it, the more I got the affirmation and the confirmation that this is what really God wanted me to do. And therefore at that point began the process of ordination. Well, I would classify the work we do as elders in 4 major categories. The first one is what I would call the deepening of the congregational faith of the church, including preparation of meaningful weekly worship, meaningful messages for the church, helping create all kinds of small groups that can help deepen the faith of the congregation, and then also administering the sacraments, especially baptism and Holy Communion to the church as a part or a means of grace of Christ. The second one, I would call it pastoral care and counseling, where as a pastor you're called to be walking with those that are hurting in your congregation, to intervene in situations that members may find themselves in crisis, being able to develop a good and effective system of caring for shut-in members of your congregation, and as well as preparing couples that may be preparing to get into marriage, preparing them in premarital counseling. The third category is what I would call the missional arm of the church. This is where you challenge and develop your laity and your congregants to reach out beyond their walls, either in advocacy or in social justice issues, or it might be in witnessing to the gospel of Jesus Christ. The last category is also just as important. It is the administrative part of the church, where you oversee the administrative day-to-day functions of the church, including supervision of the staff, including enhancing the organization of the church so that the day-to-day work of the church does run swiftly and smoothly, and generally ensuring that you have enhanced the fiduciary organization of your church. My advice to you as you discern if this is a call for you, if God is calling you to ministry, is to not be scared by what might be looking as a daunting job with a long list of things that elders do in the church. Remember, this is God's ministry. Be open, trust, and see what God can do through you. When you remember that this is not your ministry, but it's God's ministry through Jesus Christ, empowered by the Holy Spirit, as Steve Simmons would say in his book, Ministry in the Image of God. Be open and trust.